Joe Budden airs out his issues with Danny from the stop.
The behavioral change from me is very clear on when and why. That's not me trying to change anybody's mind with anything. Do what you like. I wasn't trying to have discourse about it. I'm standing 10 toes in my belief system, and I want everybody
As
else
you
to do the
should.
same.
And I want to say like that type of thinking goes with the Rocky thing, because like
Exactly.
even the term platforming is wild to me, because I mean she's a person in the spaces, like to not bring her up because of some type of pre-existing relationship with Joe, I think would be odd. Like what is platforming in the traditional sense is when you bring someone to espouse an ideology, and that's rooted in a different type of thing than Twitter spaces. Like it's not like I have her on my channel. It's not like I'm making videos about like what Rocky is doing, and like it's really just covering what she's doing. And I think this type of idea that we had to align, like that section of content creation had
I
to align.
never said that. Please don't put words in my mouth. Actually, my consistent point is
I
for
would love to
everybody
hear
to
you,
do exactly what they want to do.
but the thing is, you're saying words like platforming, and that just does not align with this type of engagement at
Okay,
all.
so I take it back. Wrong word.
So what is the rules of engagement? What is the rules of order? Like if I feel like you platform some type of, like I'd be like, yo, why you have Flip up there threatening me? You're platforming it. Like it's just weird. And I don't even espouse it. I'm just saying like it's something I could say that I could throw to my audience and have them eat it up and then be like, oh, but why is Joe doing that? And I feel like you're doing that with your big audience all the time. Never mind the way you labeled us with the name calling, the insult,
Danny,
the whole.
honestly,
This is
I
what you
don't
do
care
though.
about what you're saying. Like, do what you want to do. I keep saying for everybody to do what they want to do. I'm not trying to debate anybody. Everybody can do what they want to do.
I'm not debating you either. I'm just saying you keep looking
Well, you're
violent.
asking me for my response to your actions, and I don't have one.
You look upset, and I don't know why. We're such a small section of Twitter.
I am not upset.
You seem it when you go up there and call people losers. When you call up there and call people incels and all this other, that does align with someone who's upset. Name calling
Or
is
I could
something.
believe that you're an incel and say that calmly, right? Like it don't have to mean somebody's angry. I'm not angry at anybody here.
You sounded though. Your actions make me doubt you. Initially, we had shown a lot of respect. Like if you look back at the spaces in December, a lot of reverence. But I think it was the language used by Joe. He threw spaces that were called "Wake It Up," where it was like pitting people against each other. It was like Floyd Mayweather at his gym, and I think there was leftover animosity from that carried over. And it didn't stop for a while, and I think we're in a better place. But I think accountability needs to be shown. Just because we're regular people doesn't mean Joe didn't start a bunch of stuff between people, and that's just kind of.
Joe had a whole space of Danny versus Chiggs.
Joe
That's
having a space called Danny versus Chigs to you is the same as canoodling with somebody that's saying, yo, you and you be and you used to do such and such, and you used to do such and such, and you used to do such and such. And I don't speak to him, but I will speak about him every day here with y'all. That's the same to y'all.
I don't think it's too far off from posting a picture from
And that's
2009.
why we are where we are.
But you
And
had to
I don't
put.
care to change it.
Like, I
Like,
understand,
why?
but
What's the discourse about?
when you like say things and then it's like someone comes to defend it and you're like, I'm not here for a debate. I mean, then this is where we're naturally going to end up. I think it was a mixture, because I feel like it was not best for me to acquiesce to some of the things Joe was asking of me in the spaces, like not putting thing on YouTube. And also, I do feel like we were largely respectful to Joe, and then for him to kind of paint us the way we did, like he talks about us the most disparaging of all the communities that exist, and it was like a lot of us do get, and to put it in Joe's words, and I felt like that was unnecessary. I felt like there's a lot of married men over here. There's a lot of people who raise their kids, and I was like, well, I guess let's have fun. If you want to put us in the ground, you want to drag my name in the dirt. So that was that. But I think where it got murky is the Rocky stuff. I don't think the beta, like, I think had Rocky not ever joined our spaces, he wouldn't even have cared that much about that beta video. It's when Rocky started coming on stage that it then became like, oh, you crossed the line, you're platforming, and then that was it.
But there's also a shift in you allowing Rocky to come along because I remember Rocky. Some of the first places I saw Rocky, I didn't know Rocky from anything. Wasn't aware of it. Rocky started popping up in your spaces while Joe was around, and you were actively avoiding having her around, like, or have not around, but having her on your stage. But at a certain point, it changed from no, I'm not entertaining Rocky. I'm not bringing it up, as kind of showing that respect is what I saw it as. Is you knew the situation between Joe and Rocky. You weren't allowing it, but then something changed to where it's like, all right, it's okay, and I am going to.
Well, I think Rocky kept coming around and Rocky kept trying to come on stage, and I had to navigate that because I didn't want to be someone who completely, when she raised her hand, would be like, no, you can't come up here, because then that would affirm some type of allegiance to Joe that didn't exist in my head. Like, I still, for the most part, am not hosting spaces where I'm talking about the negative aspects of Rocky and Joe's relationship. Like, when thing happened, and she was about to talk about, somebody asked her respectfully, though. It wasn't like she just brought it up. Boomed. Right away, I ended that space. And for the most part, I still feel like I've curated a good dialogue. I still try to keep it. I don't know if anybody listens to the spaces. I still push back on Rocky. I'll be like, you hate Joe, right? Like, why? It seems like you have issues with Joe all the time. Like, you're always, like, I have conversations with her like that. It's not what I think people are trying to paint it. Like Imani said on the pod, like, people are using people. And anytime you do a space with somebody who has a big platform or somebody with a pre-existing background, they're gonna say you being used. They said that about Joe and me. They said that about other people. Like, it's just, that's the natural thing. But I still think I've kept my integrity even with having Rocky around. That's just my perception.
So
Joe is going to always be on stage when I think the purpose is to get to the truth. It took me a second to find out that that don't be the intention at all. So you kind of just got to let it go. But
And
when y'all had Rory in there lying, I showed my face. When y'all had Rocky in there lying, I showed my face. If I could get in there in them tax rooms while he be lying, I would show my face. Y'all just trying to make a buck,
everybody
and
lies.
y'all do it how you do it, and I respect it.
But see, that's not something. I feel like there is integrity in what we do. I don't know, at least for me.
A Joe and Danny thing. Danny was nowhere in sight when this begun.
well, okay, Joe, maybe
Danny
not
was
Danny directly,
nowhere
but
around when this started.
okay. I saw that you stopped following Danny after the last time that you were present on the space, and I witnessed it getting nastier than just our usual banter and talking shit and whatever the case may be. And it kind of crossing that threshold of, all right, this is getting real and it's getting really
That
nasty.
threshold has been crossed long before Danny got unfollowed. They kind of damn near two isolated incidents.
Mm, okay.
That threshold has
Somebody from the
long ago been crossed. But that's not me telling y'all to change something.
That's you removing yourself from the
That's
situation
it.
and not being involved in it.
That's it.
Do you mind asking if I ask what that threshold was, where you saw it getting nasty? Because I've noticed it escalating, but again, I see the line being someplace different than what you actually saw it. Because I've
Slick,
been
you
kind of
pretty
front row
smart.
for
You can
the.
play stupid around the wee words. You pretty smart. And if you're not, me and you will talk later.
Well,
Like, stop it.
I'm
Don't ask
asking for
questions that have
greater
already been
context.
answered.
I'm
Guess.
asking
Take a guess.
for everybody else who might not be as closely involved as I am.
Oh, then damn it, you missed it. You missed out then. If you know, you know.
I just don't like the platform forming word. That's kind of weird. But salute.
Well, he took the platforming word back, Danny. He did.
But that, yeah, but I think that's the thing. It's funny because, like, he took it back, but like so many people had ran with that. Like, I got people, like, because of course Joe's very popular in this community because the community is about him. But there's so many people running with that word. It's like, that's just a narrative that's not rooted in any type of fact. Like, we're not Fox News platforming Milo Yiannopoulos or something. Like, come on, this is what
But
it is.
you also understand how the community works is that not everybody is privy to every space and
That's
all the
fact.
information all the time. So it can be seen as because you are the next noticeable, figure of that crew of people who are over there, you're the closest in proximity to everybody, that you are kind of that pipeline to some of the conversations where you are that common thread when it's, even though I know Dub and Jameson are always there and they're the ones that are really there, you are the one that is the most notable of all of them. And so it looks like it's Danny doing it because some people think that Dub and Jameson are under the Danny umbrella.
No, we just the league of. That's
You
not.
you are, but again, to the people who probably aren't as tapped in and don't know the nuances, that's what it looks like.
Seems like
Like, I don't feel like I know any of you well enough to let y'all be the entryway to people who are stalking me, who mean me harm. I don't have that much invested in any relationship here. It's either a good time or it's no time. And that's where I stand on the matter. So y'all watch that girl for weeks and weeks and weeks and stalk me in any of the spaces that I was in. And y'all saw how it escalated. So what more do you need to see? I'm going to keep myself safe and y'all run your business. I want to take my emotions out of it because I recognize Danny's space to be full of a lot of people who just want to clickbait, clout chase, and just presume, whether right or wrong. We just want to throw theories in the air because we're trying to make money that way. I don't get that from Micah's space or the JBTV space. So those are two different spaces with two different functionalities. So how that one functions, yeah, they would have anybody over there with any lie, any story, just anything, and they would welcome them and make them feel a safe space because that's where tea is. That's where gossipy bullshit is. But in terms of getting to the truth and what's right or what's wrong, I don't think that's important over there. I feel like everybody, for the most part, is my son over there. One, because I am the common denominator. Y'all not even having these people around. That's one. And two, I can't really respect it from over there because as much as y'all bash, none of y'all will stop watching because y'all just trying to make money. So it's not about that. It's not about content and what's going on with the content. They're just trying to make a dollar. So that's how I
That's
look at
true
it.
for some. That is absolutely true for some. But what we were speaking to earlier is that the Danny from the stop side, the we work side, definitely represents a section of your fan base, your viewership, and it may just
That's
be
not true
the
though. That's not true though. And I want to stop that myth. That's not true. What y'all doing over there is like, I don't want to say y'all.
theatrical.
People might take that offensive, but
No,
what they do over there is not a reflection of any percentage of the fan base. This fan base is way too big. What's going over there is way too small time for it to have that correlation. I know that over there they feel like that, but that's just representative of what they think there. This is a fan base of
But
millions and millions and millions.
we don't think
Nobody
they
in
started out
spaces
that
is
way
going to
though.
make up a percentage of the fan base. It's
But
not
Joe,
enough people in spaces.
I have a question for you then, Joe. So if that's the case, then why have you ever found yourself over there if they are so small and so irrelevant?
Doesn't
Janae,
Like
everyone feed off the tea?
Janae,
that's
I'm not going
mhm,
places because there's so many numbers and
mhm.
impact. I go wherever the fuck I want to go since 2001.
Right, but I'm just saying if they're you don't think that that's feeding narratives that you feel like you don't want to continue to be spread. I'm just talking about how you just explained it, right? If they're framing things that are untrue, they're running with the tea, they're saying
But
stuff
wait,
and some of the
but
stuff could
Janae,
be
I just want not
detrimental.
to cut you off, but I never
That's
said
okay.
that I don't want them spreading anything that they're spreading. They could do
Okay.
whatever they want,
Okay, I got you.
and they do it, and I adjust.
Okay.
I ain't
Oh,
told nobody to stop anything. I unfollowed Danny because it was looking too goofy on my timeline, and he looked like he had an agenda, and I just didn't want to see that. But that was the end. I'm not trying to get anybody to fucking customize they shit. Do what y'all want.
I thought you said ain't no in between, ain't no neutral.
It's not a neutral, but do what you want.
but that's also one of the things that Danny felt is by you going over there, he felt like you were trying to control the narrative, control his stage, and
That's his
control what was being
paranoia,
said.
and his paranoia is not important for me enough to try to explain him through it. think what you want and run your business the way that you want. I am not trying to alter anything about that.
All right, y'all. This was taken from a Twitter space that was done recently, like within the last day. And Joe Budden took to task some of the issues he's had with me. And I think it was an insightful conversation. I think honesty was had on both sides. I also aired out my grievances. And it seems like Joe Budden might be distancing himself from the spaces I throw because of some of the people I have on stage. And I think it represents a change in the relationship we've had. We don't know each other personally. I just want to make that clear. The only way I know Joe is through watching his content and interacting in spaces. I've never met him like I did Rory or Imani or Julian or other people in the podcast space. I just know him through content. And now I feel like I was the one who distanced myself first. But now Joe is saying he's distancing himself. And I think the tension started to arise when I had Rocky on my spaces. Rocky is someone who has an interesting relationship with Joe. The one where they seem cool. They seem like best friends, and then they fall out. And then they seem cool again, and then they're best friends again, and then they fall out. But there's a tension there. I don't even think it's like that. Obviously, it's severe, but I think that a conversation could be had. I feel like some type of amicable thing could happen, but I don't know. I don't know these people. I just know from what I do on Twitter Spaces. Pardon the background. There's a lot of external noise, but I started to have her up on Spaces. She has no love lost for Joe, and you know she often airs him out. But I want to be intentional in saying that I largely stay away from the drama in terms of the non-podcast stuff. So when Rocky comes up and starts talking about certain situations, I'll be like, ugh. I kind of make it seem like I don't want to wade into those waters. But when she talks about podcast stuff, then that's when I'm all ears. Like when she talks about the inception of the Joe Budden podcast, the things that go on with the JBP, how Joe came up with certain ideas. I love talking about that because I find that fascinating. That's what this channel is about. And I'm going to continue to cover that. Like I said before, I don't have a relationship with Joe. The people who I've spoken to the most are Rory, Ian, Schwartzman. I had an interview with Julian and an interview with Imani, which I'll be dropping soon, real soon. And that's kind of how I see it. Like, I think it's best to observe Joe from far away. And I do feel, even if he doesn't know it, I did feel like my platform was becoming a bit undermined, whether intentionally or not, by being on Spaces with Joe every day. I couldn't take certain things from my Spaces and put it on Twitter because Joe would ask me not to. And it was under this pretense of that he would be more comfortable talking to me on Spaces if I didn't put stuff on YouTube. And I guess that's a valid reason, but I always felt like, hey, if there's stuff you don't want to say on Spaces, don't say it, and I won't have to worry about that. Because at that same time, there was other people putting things on Spaces from my own Twitter Spaces, and they were gaining inroads into my audience. And respectfully, Joe doesn't understand what it is to be a content creator and fight for every view in this current economy. He has a pre-existing fan base who will follow him to the edge of the earth, will jump into a volcano alive with their baby just to sacrifice themselves and pray at the altar of his entertainment value. There's a lot of groupies who are out there on these Twitter Spaces cursing at men like idiots because they want to appease Joe. And that's just not what I do. I've been very clear, and a lot of people call you weird when you make content because they try to break down what you say and apply it to how they would talk. But this is content. Of course, you're going to try to entertain. And I will always say on my Spaces, if Joe doesn't come to my spaces, I will be fine. I will be fine. And Joe needs to be mindful of when he says things like, I'm not coming over there, or I unfollowed you, Danny. Whether he means it or not, it comes off as a manipulation. Just don't follow me, don't come to my spaces, and that'll be that. I will continue to make my content. Your most ardent supporters who border on stands will attack me in my personal life and make fun of how I look and all of this jazz, while they hide behind keyboards and try to live through somebody who wouldn't spit on them if they were on fire. But let me know what you think about this comment. Let me know what you think about this content. Let me know what you think about where Joe's at. Why is he feeling the way he is currently feeling? And stay tuned. I got more stuff coming. I got a Charlemagne Angela Yee video. I got more DJ Envy content, Ian Dunlop content, Earn Your Leisure content in general. I'm going to be doing more content about other podcasts, but I'm still going to be doing a lot of Joe Budden content. I got to tell you, none of you are ever going to get me off my game. A lot of you don't want me to do Joe Budden content. Daddy, you should try other things. So I'll try other things, but I'll keep doing Joe Budden content. But with that said, follow me on Instagram, The Stop TV. Follow me on Twitter, The Stop TV. This is Danny from The Stop. Peace.